So it's always nice when the national media jabronis actually talk about the Minnesota Fighting Vikings objectively and accurately, and it's great. So this week, the Ringer's Robert Mays, who's not a jabroni, love his work, even though he's a crooked Chicago Bears fan, wrote about Gary Kubiak, one Gary Thug Life offensive coordinator / head coach of the offense, Gary Kubiak, and how he helped shape the modern NFL. Now he's stepping back into it. Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. Even though, Gary Kubiak, after he had those health issues with the Texans, as well as stepped away from the Broncos, he's just like, I don't want to be in this game anymore. But then he's like, oh, hey, Vikings. Oh, I can be an offensive consultant. I can do this. I can work with Kevin Stefanski, who's great friends with my son, Clint Kubiak. Oh, I can do it. Oh, now I'm calling plays again. Now I'm the head coach again. Yeah, but just give it time. So, yeah, Gary Kubiak does have a pretty prominent head coaching tree. So, looking through, you got the Niners, Kyle Shanahan, of course, where Kyle Shanahan owes all of his success in the NFL to Gary Kubiak. He really does. Full stop. So he was with the Texans 06 to 09, including a couple seasons as non-play calling offense coordinator. The greasy, grimy Green Bay Packers, the 12-year-old boy spent 2 years in Houston, 08 to 09. Under Gary Kubiak, as well as with Kyle Shanahan. And then also the Browns, of course, Kevin Stefanski spent last season with the Kubiak contingent here in Minnesota, 2019. So there you go. Yeah, so Gary Kubiak has direct ties to 3 head coaches currently in the NFL, all seen as young, up-and-coming offensive gurus. We'll see about the 12-year-old boy. Okay. But yeah, Mays goes through. It's a great article. You should go read it. We're going to pick through a couple parts here. But, Gary Kubiak and Kyle Shanahan, they started out in San Francisco, which still had echoes of the Bill Walsh West Coast offense, which is so revolutionary. Probably the greatest advancement in offensive football in NFL history, pretty easily. And then Mays mentions that when they got to Denver, they met up with legendary zone running game guru Alex Gibbs, a pioneer of the outside zone, where Alex Gibbs is a cool guy. Now, he's definitely abrasive and he rubs people the wrong way. I mean, there's a reason why that he went from team to team to team. But he said that he would pare down the running game to 2 plays: outside zone right, outside zone left, and he has a point. I mean, obviously you can't disagree with the Broncos' results. I mean, 2 back-to-back Super Bowl wins for years. They're always highly ranked in terms of offensive DVOA. Terrell Davis running for 2K, and what they were able to do with very talented but undersized athletic offensive linemen. And still, it was the era of you got Gilbert Brown out there raw. It was great, right? And also, we've talked about ad nauseum about the zone blocking scheme for the Vikings. Like, it is a relatively newish concept. 25, 30 years, it's really come to prominence in the NFL. Also, Mays talks about how Kubiak has been a sponge throughout his career, and also a great borrower and adopter of ideas. So when Peyton Manning, year 2, 1999, was having great success with some variations of play action, Gary Kubiak was like, we'll see what we can do with Jake Plummer, Brian Greasy with this. It's great. As well as, all right, so Mays wrote this about evolving play action. Quote, when that's why he thinks his system, Kubiak, has endured after all these years, Kubiak focuses on a single word: deception. Dun, dun, dun. By seamlessly trying to tying rushing concepts together with complementary play-action designs, Kubiak and his disciples can deploy a system that seems complicated, but is actually quite simple. In a lot of ways, you're not doing a ton of things, but you're doing it in a ton of ways, Kubiak says. You're trying to mask certain things. They may look different on film, but they're not. They're simple for you, but they can get repetitive and hard for the defense because you're doing so many different ways, end quote. And there is beauty and simplicity, because with football, you can make it as complicated as you want. You can make it as simple as you want. And both ways you can succeed. I mean, simple things like, hey, there's your guy. Kick your guy's ass. That's always going to be resonating in the NFL. And outside zone, it is relatively simple. You get your athletic offensive lineman taking a flat step or a 45-degree angle, blocking area as opposed to a man. And then your running back's got 3 options. He can bang it up the middle. He can bounce it outside. He can find that cutback lane and find some pay dirt. Football, you can certainly way overcomplicate football, and a lot of that is ego-driven. But what I love about Gary Kubiak is that he's shown throughout the years that he is a very selfless, very egoless man. And I mean, he's a Super Bowl winning head coach, and he's going to come in and be an offensive coordinator for Mike Zimmer. just the humility there and just the wanting to be involved in the game. It's just, it really is a thing of beauty, and I think that it really is. Gary Kubiak really does. It really is underrated and underappreciated, as well as talking about the passing game. So we talked about Kirk Cousins is a great quarterback when everything is on schedule, this, that, and everything else. Now in Washington, perhaps there could be some times where things were overcomplicated. You got Jay Gruden, egomaniac. Of course, you had Sean McVay, the boy wonder, one to flex his muscles in those offensive meeting rooms as well. And then when you got here, 2018, John DeFilippo, who he and Zimmer obviously did not see eye to eye. John DeFilippo was trying to make things so freaking complicated because he wanted to show off, well, I'm this great offensive mind. Like I was the red zone coordinator for the Eagles, won a Super Bowl. Philly. Yeah, and then I'm just going to show off what I can do. I can make a dynamic passing offense with Kirk Cousins. We're going to run 11 personnel. We're going to throw it 40 to 50 times a game, and I'm just going to, this is me. I'm going to do that so I can get a head coaching job, and then I'm going to do it. And it didn't work. It obviously did not work. So I think what you saw last year was a blend of Kevin Stefanski as well as a really big collaboration with Gary Kubiak, helping make things simple, help catering your scheme to the strengths of a Dalvin Cook, to Adam Thielen, to Stephon Diggs, as well as to Kirk Cousins. I mean, Kirky last year, like we've said, by all like metrics that actually matter instead of like passing yards and number of touchdowns, like he had the best season of his career. He really did. Best in DVOA, best in PFF grade, best in QBR, best in quarterback rating, all of those things. So Kirk Cousins, that he'll have that continuation. I think Gary Kubiak will even more cater to what Kirk does well. And 2020 could be a phenomenal year for Kirk Cousins. Kirk may be the only person who actually does well in the year 2020. Just absolutely strange. So I'm really excited about what Gary Kubiak brings to the table this year. Obviously, he's a great man. Obviously, he's not an old dog. He certainly does learn new tricks. He's a coach who's not so bogged down in his scheme. He is more players first, and that is refreshing to have here at the Vikings. I don't think that was necessarily the case with Norv or with JDF. It was with Shermer to a degree. But, yeah, I mean, just count your lucky stars that we got Gary Kubiak. And also go check out May's article. It's really good, even for a Bears fan. But what are your thoughts? Gary Kubiak, the father of the Monday NFL. Shoot. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support that work? Pull some in the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.